Got to be around some family. Went to 2 funerals, and so I got two. On my dad's side of the family, I got 2 sides of the family. I got my grandma's side and then my grandpa's side, and I was able to be there for both sides. Went up to Antonito, this little town in Colorado. Well, it's at the border of Colorado and New Mexico, and it's honestly my favorite place in the world. My second favorite is San Diego, but Antonito probably has to be my favorite place in the world. My grandma, she grew up on the New Mexico side, and the little town where you go get groceries, it's on the Colorado side. And it was all once ran by Mexico, so a lot of people over there still speak Spanish. Like my grandma, she spoke Spanish. Her mom didn't even know English, and she's never even been in Mexico. So that's what also inspired me to teach myself Spanish, to get back to my roots.
How's that going? Are you learning?
Yeah, I've been learning, especially working with these. I can't say it on YouTube because you're gonna block it off, but these gentlemen.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you had it'd be better if it would have been a better circumstances, right? The reason why you're going to Albuquerque, if it would have been, under better circumstances, but you're able to connect with family and see people you haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, I wouldn't want it any other way though, because I turned 30. I turned 30 years old that Monday, and the weekend before that, that's when I was in Albuquerque. And
so your birthday just passed?
Yeah, my birthday just passed.
Happy belated birthday, man.
Oh, thank you.
30
Appreciate
years
it.
old, wow.
But what I was really trying to get at was most people, you hear 30, it's a milestone. People are going to go celebrate, go on vacation. I don't know, for me, I was able to be present for my family.
Absolutely.
Who watched me grow up, who some saw me in my worst conditions, some only heard about it, and then to see me in a new form, I'm pretty sure it made them happy and made me happy also. Because before, man, shit, when I was on the Loquera, time passes by, and you'll see people 5 years from now, and you notice that everybody, they graduated high school, they went through high school, they had 5 birthdays, and you never really get to be there. And now I just appreciate being there now. Just see people grow up, and instead of missing out on your loved one's life.
That's what happens with addiction.
Even if it was at a funeral, I was just still happy to be there,
Yeah.
With addiction, you ain't never showing up, bro. That comes first. First, second, and third.
Right.
Whatever morals you may have had, they all take a back seat.
And so you're mentioning your family is proud of you, right? They see you differently. You look better. You're staying sober, right? 2 years.
Yeah, all my family, even the family members that I would get in trouble with. So even though I would get in trouble with them, they never did anything as bad as smoking fentanyl. So even they're proud of me. That's how you know when you messed up, when the troublemakers are even proud of you. Or when the dope boy doesn't even want to sell you anything no more. That's how you know you're doing bad.
Yeah. So thanks for, we have 41 people in the live, so thank you guys for joining. Tommy Martinez says, happy birthday from Roswell, New Mexico. Jeff says, Billy is always the real.
Roswell. Do you know a girl named Amber in Roswell? Beasley. I went to Barber College with her.
Awesome. And with all these young people out here, 15, 16, a lot of teenagers, young adults. What are your thoughts on those young people when you see them? Do they remind you of when you were out there in the Loquera?
Yeah, just being rebellious and having that mindset that they can't be touched. It's all right to have that mindset, but use it for good purposes. Don't let nothing's worse than wasted potential. I know for me, I've always been rebellious, but it was when I used that rebellious mentality into something good growing up, like football, boxing. It made me more creative, more stronger. I was able to achieve a lot quicker. But when I used it for something bad, it led me into a life of in a dark place.
How's your rebellion doing now? Have you got a control of it? Does it not exist anymore?
Yeah, I just use it for the right reasons. I got back into to the gym. I go back to the boxing gym too, and I use it for just good purposes now, bro. Become a better barber, and also think of ways to expand. Because barbering isn't just something I want to do for the rest. It's something I'm gonna do for the rest of my life, but the whole goal is to achieve new heights. I always said when I got sober that getting sober wasn't gonna be the only thing that I accomplished. I want to make something out of it.
The years that you were out in the street, Billy, do you think that slowed you down a little bit? That created a kind of blocked your success, prevented you from being where you should be at 30 years old?
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't regret it at all, because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have been more open to other things. Because when I got sober, I started to try different things, because you know what they say, if you want something different, do something different. And that just forced me to have an open mind for a lot of other things that's out there, instead of just living in my own way all the time. But as far as, I'm sober right now, so success is already on its way. Well, I believe, bro, I was destined so the drugs were never the problem, they were the symptom. I was the problem. So whether if it was drugs or going to prison for, I don't know, getting out of character, letting my anger get control of me, or going to prison for selling drugs on the street, I was destined to hit rock bottom, just by the way just who I am, the way I was. And I'm glad it was drugs, because I didn't really lose that much time. Yeah, I lost 10 years, but I didn't get a life sentence.
You learned from it, right? You learned from it, recovered, and you're now using it for good. You would say it's motivated you.
Yeah, and even too, when I think about the family I lost to it, or when I see people on the streets, it aggravates me. And so I use that aggravation into something positive. For that looks like, even when I'm at the gym sometimes, I want to just stop at a certain rep. I think about all that stuff, and it helps me push an extra 5 reps. And that's just an example. I use gym as an analogy because it's so easy to comprehend, but that applies to every aspect of life. I'm just gonna go harder.
what's something that would have helped you at an early age if somebody would have told you, advised you, at an early age?
It's one thing that would have helped if God would have came down and put a TV in my face and said, "Look, this is where you're gonna be at if you do this, do that. If this is if you continue to think this way." And if I would have saw myself on the TV, then yeah. Other than that, nothing was. I was too stubborn at the time, bro.
That rebellion was intense for you, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. Just for me, it was just you just learn the hard way. Wow. Even in school, I always just learned by hand. I never really learned from someone speaking in front of me.
I think that's something that affects the people that I talk to on the street right now. They're not listening to a lot of, they're not listening to their mom, their dad. Most of them don't have a dad. They're not listening to the police, to the judge.
They just got to know it's possible, bro. Even when I was, I don't know, when I was on the loquera and I was on the streets, I knew it was possible for me to get sober because I always just had that self-confidence, and that goes back to what the subject we tried to touch on earlier is the youth. I think the youth should involve themselves in some type of activity, sport, because that's how they develop self-confidence, or anything that helps you build confidence, because you're going to need it when you grow up and you go through some dark tunnels. For me, my mom always had me in football, boxing, and then eventually down the way when I got on fentanyl and I dug myself in a hole that at the time I thought was impossible to get out of. There was also that other voice in my head telling me, you know what, just, fight back. I'm trying not to cuss right now, bro. You told me not to. But yeah, there was always that voice in my head saying that I could get out of this, and that I will overcome it. And that's just from my upbringing, my mom having me in sports and stuff.
What do you think about the youngsters out there right now that they're not in sports, right? They don't have a passion for sports or anything, right? Their hobby is being out in the streets and just going through rebellion. What can you tell them?
Well, them being in the streets, that's because they need to release that energy. They're releasing that energy out in the streets, and a lot of their friends are doing it too. So it all comes down to the parents making decisions for them. Their parents not putting them in those kind of stuff, and they're gonna go out into the streets. So they just have that energy that they need to release as a kid.
How important is parenting in order to influence kids to make better decisions? Like, how important is it?
It's important, but I don't really have the correct answer. I don't really feel like I got the correct answer for all that, because if you think about it, there's people who come up from both parents in the house, did everything right, and they still ended up on the streets. Excuse me. I think just to give them attention and involve them in something that will help them build confidence within themselves.
Yeah, like
it doesn't even have to be sports. It could be anything. It could be piano or playing the guitar or anything.
Music, art, physical activity, traveling, just some type of passion, some type of interest, right?
Yeah, where they get surrounded by other kids that are with the same interests as they are. But if they grow up being around kids that ain't doing shit, that boredom's usually gonna lead to getting into trouble and later on violence and self-destruction.
Yeah.
But they'll find out.
Absolutely.
It's something that's always gonna. It's always gonna be around. This world ain't never gonna be perfect. It's never been perfect.
Never gonna be perfect, but how do we become less imperfect though, you know? How do we chisel away at, you know, these young people losing their lives out here?
Shoot. That's a good question.
You know, where does it start? Does it start at school? Does it start at home? Does it start, where does it start?
That's a good question. Starts with us. Starts with the individual. Doesn't necessarily have to be the parent either. It could be you could be a stranger to someone and you can still have a big impression on the kid.
We all have the ability to influence others, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe in that 100%, right? So
There's stuff that people said to me when I was a kid, and I still remember it to this day, bro. I can't really think of it at the top of my head. I really got to sit down and think about it. But that just goes to show you that what you do matters, even if you feel like it doesn't matter at the moment.
words are powerful, right? Words
Yeah.
are powerful. So make those words good, right? Make them meaningful. And they're going to influence somebody for the positive. The things you remember when people told you that, you know, when you were a kid, you know, those could be something good and something bad, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like when do you have that one teacher that you'll always remember, your favorite teacher?
Right.
It's kind of like the same thing. When I was younger, I went to this alternative school, the school where they sent bad kids if you got kicked out of school. And some of the teachers there, I feel like, really cared about the kids, and I still remember them to this day. Mr. Larson and Mr. Newberg. I even added one of them on Facebook.
They made an impact on you, huh?
Yeah, I remember they would have us do skills, or they would do. They would have like these little things where it's called. So they would, for instance, they would say controlling anger, and they would have steps for controlling anger, accepting criticism, and they would have steps for controlling or accepting criticism, and the list goes on. And then they would practice on you, and they wouldn't even tell you they're practice on you. They would just walk up on you at random moments while we're learning math or something, and then they'll practice on you. And if you did good, they'll give you a point, and the points will add up at the end of the week. And at the end of the week, you can either buy some snacks or whatever they had in the gift shop, or you could buy some credits. And as the credits piled up, you could go back to your old school, the regular school. I went to 2 alternative schools, Kids at Hope and Calderwood. I mean, the name says it in itself, Kids at Hope.
It sounds like it helped you, that school, that alternative school, because you learned some of the fundamentals that they taught you, huh?
Yeah.
Awesome.
This was back in like the 7th grade, bro. I went to 6 different schools between 7th grade and 8th grade.
Is that due to your rebellion, your lashing out?
Yeah. And it was funny because my mom, she would always when the principal at my regular school told my mom we need to send him to Kids at Hope, and my mom, she was against it. She was like, my kid does not belong there. And then the principal was just looking at her and, yeah, your kid does belong there. I was more afraid of my mom than the police.
Has she been a big influence in your life?
Yeah, she has. She really has. A lot of times where I needed somewhere to sleep, she always had her doors open for me. But I don't know. I wouldn't say she's never really kicked me out, but she just pretty much said, I don't want this around. I don't want to see you like this. And that's what caused me to go leave into the streets sometimes. And there's times where she would scold me. There's times where she would, get so angry with me, and she would say things that she may have not meant. And then there's times where she would speak from the heart and remind me who I was. And when she did that, it left more of an impression on me. She would just remind me who I was growing up in high school, and how much of a strong-minded kid I once was, and that would motivate me also to getting sober. And at one of the funerals I went to, I had a primo that, he's doing bad right now, and you could just see it in his face, in his demeanor, the clothes that he was wearing, that he wasn't looking too good. And I did pretty much the same thing my mom did, because my cousin, at the time when we were growing up, this guy could pull any girl he wants, and he had that rebellion mentality also. He was down to fight anybody. And you see him now, it's just a completely different person. He just looks defeated. And I did the same thing my mom did. I reminded him of who he truly was. I said, hey, Creed, remember you used to be that flyest vato in the barrio? And then he was just like, yeah, I do remember. And you could just see it left a big impression on him. That's the only thing that I could do. You're not gonna just grab him and lock him in a room and make him detox, because the addict will pick the locks and find his way out.
Absolutely.
You can't take him. You could take him all the way to Antarctica, and I'm sure he'll still find an Eskimo out there or something. Like I said, it's the drugs weren't the problem; it was a symptom.
Yeah, that's a good point. So Billy, you're about to finish up. So thank you very much. It was nice talking to you. We'll talk soon for another update. Okay.
All right then. I'll have more to say next time.